What's good, YouTube, and welcome to the house. We're back with another top 10 here today, and this is the top 10 cards that I think the ban list should have touched in some way, shape, or form for multiple reasons. Where we got different reasons for every single card, but the first honorable mentions are Elemental Hero Stratos and Construct. Now, the reason why these aren't in my top 10 is because you all have been shouting for both of these for years to come back. Stratos more so than Construct. Construct has amazing fans, amazing fan art, awesome things about its lore, and I like how it works mechanic-wise as well. I wish it was back. But it's been begged for so much that I think putting it specifically on a top 10, it would just be in one of the top 2 slots over and over, along with Elemental Hero Stratos. So, I'm gonna shove these two over in the honorable mention section because, let's face it, it would be boring knowing what number 1 and 2 already should be. And in my number 10 slot, I do not like this deck to kick it off, but the Qliphort should have gotten a little support on this list, and I'll tell you why. It's at full power in Japan. They have pretty much 3 of everything, and while I think that would be really scary over here, my kind of backwards notion that Link Frames Pack is giving it a Link monster. It's giving Qliphort a little support there, but I think that means that we won't be seeing a TCG ban list until we get the Link Frames Pack ourselves in full effect, and it'll probably come out sometime before it in order to help support the older decks that it's already going to be supporting. It's going to be like, look, here's support, alright, you can play these. And with it at full power in Japan, 3 towers, 3 scout, 3 sacrifice, basically 3 of anything you can want. I think it's 3 skill drain and 1 emptiness over there still. The fact that this deck didn't get direct support from this ban list means we're probably waiting for another ban list for a long time to see an update. Oh, look at the tuber already talking about how long it'll be to the next one when we just got this one. Yeah, it's just a concern in the back of my head, and that's why it's all the way down in the number 10 position. The number 9 here, Tribe-Infecting Virus. Oh, it's so fun to see this in the OCG. I like it so much. It's memories of GOAT format that, hey, I still play sometimes to this day. I don't think it's too broken in that it triggers the Atlanteans when it's pitched, and it would be a huge help to the Mermail Atlantean deck because you can pitch it, help clear the field, and then go into Mastar Boy with them and start enabling your entire deck. I really like the synergy there with the board wipes down such as Dark Hole and Regeki. It would give something kind of special and specific to this deck. Now, some of you guys are tired of this deck. It's like Gladiator Beast at this point, but there's huge fans of this deck, people that have this fully hollowed out, and personally, I enjoy the card and how it works. It's a nice little cheeky tech that I don't even know that most of them will end up playing if they still play Mermail Atlanteans, but I certainly would. I'd enjoy it. In my number 8 position, a card that would mainly help a deck that needs its graveyard resources. Pot of Avarice came back to 2 in the OCG. I think we could have seen it at 1 here. Now, Minerva Sworn and Zombie Sworn would probably be the best decks because they're milling and putting cards in the graveyard. Although one other deck that could have really abused this was Burning Abyss. Now realize, they have this card at 2 and Grass at 3 in the OCG. That is freaking insane to me. But you don't get to make it free over here because we have Grass at 1. So even if we had 1 Pot of Avarice, we're using the deck that tries to put cards in the graveyard to keep there, like Mizuki's, Snows, and other such cards in the Lightsworn decks that I think it would counterbalance itself. There's not many other decks that power through enough monsters that fast right now with Zoo hit off the list that I think we should have seen this back to at least 1 by now. It's an awesome card, and it definitely, Emerald's gone 2 here, so even more reasons to help us try to resource back our cards into the deck. But in the number 7 position, I think Konami's fumbled the ball completely on this one. Chaos Emperor Dragon. Where's our errata? Personally, I don't like seeing cards errata, but this card certainly does need one to come back. They missed putting the errata update in our new Kaiba/Yugi packs. It's really odd to me that we still don't have this, but Japan has an unlimited errata. And we just saw the second envoy, the envoy of the beginning, come back to 2. And he's not even doing that much. It would just be nice to be able to play with our Chaos Emperor dragons and make fun, goofy decks and Chaos decks. I don't know what's stopping them from doing it here. Maybe they're waiting for a truly special structure deck to release him in. I just wish we had him already. I can't say much more than that. I've heard a lot of other people have the same opinion, though. Number 6. This is a big one. Maximus. Maxx definitely has been argued to be a sack card at 1. And regardless of your feelings, I think the major debate on this card is you either need to up the consistency of this card or you need to hit it. And with the consistency so far down, it basically becomes a sack card. Did you draw Maxx? You're in a great position compared to your opponent. It's so insane when you get Maxx. I agree that I like it as a check and balance. It's always been a check and balance. But at 1, it's no longer a check and balance. It's a who draws it first kind of situation. The OCG still has it at 2. I think they realize the kind of situation they'd put their players at, putting it to 1 like us. I really do think it needs to be at 2 or greater or ban. It's just the sack factor is there right now. And we go to our next slot, the number 5 slot with Exciton Knight. You got your text update in Battles of Legend. You were the only ban card released in Battles of Legend alongside Witch of the Black Forest, but you didn't get released. So many people are quick to point out to me, bruh, there's Duelist Pack all the time with ban cards. Yeah, but those are Duelist Pack. You're actually selling cards from the show when you're selling those ban cards, such as Monster Reborn and Pot of Greed, etc. And even though they get text updates, Duelist Pack and Legendary Collections, that's like kind of the home of ban cards, and there's always multiple that aren't going to come back. But with Duelist, with our Battles of Legend, it's so much different than a Duelist Pack. We only received competitive cards for the most part. We received updates, reprints, Giant Wreck, so many cards that were going to be used for the competitive scene. It was really the reprint set that the competitive players really wanted, and this card appears that's unlimited in Japan. Unlimited! Gets a text update and doesn't come back. Konami, why you do this? What was the point? I don't know, guys. I definitely think we should have seen it at least at 1. I think we missed another mark there. And the number 4 position, we've got Masterpiece. I definitely think this should have seen some kind of hit on the ban list. It's so good, and because we still have Diagram at 3, it's too consistent. I would have liked to see this go to 1. Definitely go to 1 because, man, they should at least have to manage their resource of a Masterpiece. It's so free with Diagram being more than once per turn, being able to still go for Heritage, still get your extra draws, still be able to search both your Trap and Masterpiece through 1 turn instead of just drawing at the end. Card of Demise, Pot of Duality. It's definitely just watching True Draco do what it's done is crazy. But at least it's now True Draco the engine instead of True Draco the deck for the most part, it would seem. Pure True Draco with Knuckles and Ignis, how they were hit. It's at least nice to see that it's going to have to lean on the crutch of other decks, most likely. So, good job for that, but I still think you should have made it to where they have to manage their Masterpiece. And talking about once per turn and not hard once per turn field spells, Terraforming avoided this ban list completely. I feel like set rotation, A, limits how many field spells you play per turn. You either got to deal with your opponent's field spell to play another, and you have to run a Garnet, in a sense, on top of it. But with all these amazing, not hard once per turn field spells where you can play another, get its effect again, I really think we should have seen some kind of hit to Terraforming to down the consistency of decks that get to abuse those field spells. Spirals are coming, guys. Spirals are going to be insane, and we have 3 Terraformings along with that. We have a more powerful Spiral deck than Japan. Just think about that for a moment. I definitely think Rhoda's at 1 still, boys. And Terraforming's at 3. Compare those 2 cards real quick in the current meta and tell me what you think about that. In the number 2 position, it's our 1-card Decode Talker Gofu. It definitely helps that you can use both tokens now with Proxy and take up minimal extra deck space to make this Decode Talker with a Gofu. But even more so, we got a power up to the World Chalice decks and Rescue Rabbit. We still have Gofu at 3. You can special Gofu, get your 2 tokens, not even use your normal, make a Link Spider, special out one of your one of your normals from hand and just keep going with Gofu, and you haven't even normal summoned a Venus or used a Brilliant Fusion, any extender that just goes hand in hand with this, it's definitely an insane starter card for many decks, but especially the World Chalice deck, and just helps you get where you need to be going. I feel like it should have received a hit in some way, shape, or form, but it'll be interesting to watch. It seems like the TCG is supporting these Link decks much, much harder than the OCG, and it should be interesting to see how they impact the YCS and UDS scene coming up here without Spirals, and then interacting with Spirals, since we got a little more power and consistency to our decks. And in the #1 position, undoubtedly, because of the Banlist, it's at full power. You can play it with its fusions. Sandwich, you can actually use the correct materials and get their effects. What is happening to our... Alright, the joke's over. But I really do like the point that you can use Sandwich with its original fusion material. So this is just my third joke honorable mention. And then in the #1 slot, the card that really just dropped off the conversation list, I think because we were sick and tired of it. It's used in True Draco and Zoo. It's continued to be one of the best cards for True Draco because you just get rid of it. Imperial Order. Why is this still here? Just for us to suffer? It's just an insane card that shuts down opponents. And I'm not even complaining as a Pendulum player. We have Purple Poison Magician to pop this. We have ways to deal with this. I'm not complaining about it as a Pendulum player. I'm complaining about it as a player of many decks. I think it's unfair. You set up really strongly. Yes, there's Tornado Dragon, there's so many ways to deal with it, but with this and Anti-Spell Fragrance at 3, you have a strategy for really locking down opponents, and it gets abused in one of the best decks already, the True Dracos. I just think this card doesn't have any business being here. A card that permanently shuts off 1/3 of the card pool in a game of spells. It's just insanity to me. Yes, you can play around it. Yes, you can play cards to destroy it. Yes, you can take care of it yourself. I just don't personally like the fact that it's here and around. I know a lot of players feel the same. I know other players are like, huh, deal with it. Well, I've dealt with it, and I don't enjoy dealing with it in any deck. Any at all. And yes, I realize players get locked under their own Imperial Order, and they get punished for it. And yes, oh, you can kill yourself if you have exactly 700 life points in a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, I personally just do not enjoy seeing this card running around. So, what did I miss on this list? What do you guys think should have been coming back on this ban list? Do you think that anything on my list I shouldn't have talked about? Qli is probably the only one in my heart, but I just have that foreboding sense that we're not gonna see another ban list for a long time. We're gonna wait for our Brains Pack announcement. We're gonna wait for its release, and we might finally get an update around then. But let's enjoy the current ban list. Let's not complain about the future. And what do you guys think? And give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation, guys.